Hi, good day learners. And again, nandito ulit tayo sa mathematics. Welcome back. Okay? So, now, dito ulit tayo for you to understand and deepen your foundation in the subject mathematics. And in this particular video, we will seek to answer the question, what are polynomials? But before we understand what polynomials are, it is important for us to understand first what are terms. In mathematics, terms are mathematical expressions that is either a single number, a variable, or numbers and variables that are multiplied together. For you to understand more, class students, let's have some examples. Let's say we have here three terms. In this example, we have a given number, positive 3, okay? Given number which is positive 3. Now, dito sa example natin, this is a term, but yung number natin na positive 3, it is not only limited to positive 3. Okay? Remember or take note that it can also be a positive. It can be any number, positive 5, positive 7, positive 8, or it can also be negative. Okay? So it can also be negative 5, negative 7, negative 11, so on and so forth. And this number, we call this as coefficient. Coefficient are the numerical values on a term. Okay, so remember, coefficient can be positive or it can be negative. Next, we have naman the variable. In this example, we have the variable x, which has an exponent of positive 2. So our exponent is positive 2. And in talking about terms, our exponent is also the degree of the term that we have. Okay, so for this example, we have 3x squared. We can say that the degree of term that we have, 3x squared, is second degree. Okay, since its exponent is 2. Okay, so talking about variable din class, hindi lang tayo limited sa x. It can be any variable, any letter. It can be y, m, a, b, or z, or it can be a combination of both. Can be a combination of two variables. Okay, so let's talk about variables or terms that has combinations of two or more variables. Let's say we have again 3x squared, but this time with y. Okay, so in terms class, hindi lang siya limited sa isang variable. It can be x squared y or it can be x squared y cube. Okay, as long as it is together, classified to as one term. Okay, so what we have here, 3x squared y cubed, this is classified as one term. Okay, so now that we understand what terms are, let's talk about now what polynomials are. So polynomials are series of terms joined together by addition and subtraction. So para siyang chain, maraming terms combined together by addition and subtraction. So take note class, it is combined together by these symbols, plus and minus, addition or subtraction. Okay? And we have some names. We have some, may mga pangalan tayo ng mga polynomials depending on the terms or the number of terms that they have. If we have one term, if we have a polynomial with only one term, we call that as monomial. If we have a polynomial with two terms, we call that as binomial. Okay, so we call it as binomial, meaning of bi from the root word bi, that means two. Then polynomial with one term, we call it as monomial, meaning of mono is one. Then if we have polynomial with three terms, we call that as trinomial with the root word tri, which means three. So parang triangle, no? Tri, which means three. And for polynomials with polynomials that has four or more terms, we simply call that as polynomial. So from the root word poly, which means many. So poly means many. Okay? So now that we understand what polynomials are, and we already know how to distinguish the number of terms, let's talk about this one. Paano natin siya i-apply? Let's say we have an example of 4x cubed plus 3x squared minus x plus 8. So question is, how many terms does this polynomial have? So first, ilan munang term daw meron ang polynomial na ito? Bago natin pala siya pangalanan. Ilang term meron itong polynomial na ito? So based on our definition kanina, doon sa previously, ang sabi natin, polynomials are series of terms joined together by addition and subtraction. And that terms have a number, or a coefficient, and a variable. Okay? So given this definition, na pag-usapan natin kanina, how many terms do you think does this polynomial have? So if you say, sir, meron po tayong number of coefficient and meron po tayong variable, we only have two terms. Kasi ito lang yung meron, no? Ito lang yung meron. So, the number of terms this polynomial have is only two. Because 4x cubed plus 3x squared, ito lang po yung may number or may coefficient and a variable combined. Okay? So, tama kaya yun? In counting the number of terms that a polynomial has class, so yes, we count the number of terms that has a coefficient and a variable. But let's talk about this one. What about x and positive 8? So let's talk about x first. Sabi natin, di ba, terms should have coefficient and a variable. So x here, yung x natin class, no doubt it has a variable. No? X is a variable. But what is the coefficient or the number or the numerical value of our x? Meron ba? Yes. The answer to that is meron siyang imaginary na 1 dito. So the coefficient of this x is 1 and the sign of that 1 is negative since it is followed by a minus sign. So this is negative 1x. Okay? So sir, bakit po natin hindi na sinusulat kung 1? Because meron tayong property sa mathematics, any number multiplied to 1 is itself then. So understood that 1 times x is also equal to x. So that should mean this minus x or negative x is also a term. So we now have 1, 2, 3. So yes, negative x is also a term. What about itong last, itong positive 8 or yung plus 8 natin? Is positive 8, is plus 8 a constant? I mean, is positive 8 a term? Is it classified as a term? So yes, it is classified as a term and we call this as constant term. So yes, it is classified as a term. Therefore, we now have a total of 4 terms. Okay? So yung 8 natin, we call this as the constant. So sir, you might be asking, paano po naging term yung positive 8? Paano siya na-classify as a term? Okay? So that is using the zero power rule sa laws of exponent. Okay? So when we say zero power rule, if you are not familiar with it yet, kindly click the link on the upper right corner of your screen and you will be directed sa laws of exponent na video lesson. So, nandoon, we talk about zero power rule. Pero, papahapyawan na rin natin dito ng kaunti. No? So, what is zero power rule? That means x raised to 0 is equals to 1. A variable being raised to 0 is equals to 1. So, that means our positive 8 or our constant term is raised to 0. Which means we can simplify this as 8 times x raised to 0 is 1. This is also equal to positive 8. So meaning, meron tayong nakalagay dito sa tabi ni 8, may imaginary tayo dito na x raised to 0. So still it has a variable. Hindi lang natin nakikita. Okay? Therefore, this is a polynomial with 4 terms. Okay? Okay. Now, what about this one? Y cubed minus 2x. How many terms does this polynomial have? So again, our definition of terms. A term should have a coefficient and a variable. Yeah. So how many terms does this polynomial have? So yes, alam niyo na siguro by now, this has 2 terms. Okay? So, it is important, class or students, to understand na hindi palaging kumpleto yung ating mga terms. So, kanina sa example natin, we have 4x cubed plus 3x squared plus 6x plus 8. No? Kumpleto. Pero dito sa example natin ngayon, it is y cubed minus 2x. So, missing itong nandito. Wala tayong constant term and wala tayong x lang na variable. No? Meron pala tayong x lang na variable, but we don't have is x squared na variable. So yes, this is still considered a polynomial with 2 terms. Okay? So hindi siya palaging kompleto, class. Take note. Okay, moving on. Now that we understand what polynomials are, it is important then to talk about properties of polynomials. Let's say we use the example 4x cubed plus 3x squared minus x plus 8. We talk about now first property of a polynomial, which is the degree of a polynomial. Talking about degree of polynomial, it is the highest degree or the highest exponent. Take note, pinag-usapan natin ito kanina, class. When we say degree, it is the exponent. When we say degree of the term, it is the exponent of the term. But this time, what we are talking about is the degree of a polynomial. So, talking about degree of a polynomial, it is the highest degree or the highest exponent among any terms. So, sa lahat ng terms, ano yung pinakamataas na exponent? In this example, 4x cubed plus 3x squared minus x plus 8. Ano dito yung pinakamataas na exponent? So check natin. We have here 3. We have here 2. And this one, x, its exponent is 1. And our constant, its variable and exponent is x raised to 0. Tama? So among these 3, 3, 2, 1, 0, the highest is 3. So ayusin natin yung below. So among these exponents, our highest exponent is 3. Therefore, the degree of this polynomial is 3. Or we can say this is a third degree polynomial. So we can say that is a third degree polynomial. Okay? What about this one? Let's say we have here 2x cubed y squared minus 7x cubed y, 7x squared y plus xy squared plus 11. So how do we compute for the degree of such polynomial? Paano ito? Sabi natin kanina, di ba? Sa terms, hindi lang siya limited sa isang variable. It can be a combination of complicated variables. Kagaya nito, magkakasama. So how do we compute the degree of these polynomials? To do so, to, to find the degree of this polynomial, we simply add their exponents. Okay? So pag-add-add lang natin yung exponents ng mga terms. So sige, let's find out. What is 3 plus 2? So let's find the sum of the exponents. So this is 5. What about 2 plus, what is the exponent of y? This is 1. So what is 2 plus 1? That is 3. Okay? And what is x? So what is the exponent of x here? That is 1. So what is 1 plus 2? That is, and your 11, ang exponent niya is, it can be x raised to 0 or it can be y raised to 0. So any of these, not 1 lang yan. So among these exponents, 5, 3, and 3, which is the highest? So that is 5. Therefore, the degree of this polynomial, 2x cubed y squared minus 7x squared y plus xy squared plus 11 is 5. Or we can say this is a 5th degree polynomial. Okay? So now that you understand already what degrees of a polynomial are, let's talk about naman the standard form of how we write polynomials. Paano ba yung standard form ng pagsulat natin ng polynomials? It is from highest degree to the lowest degree. So, i-arrange lang natin siya, class. So, let's say we have this example. Negative x squared plus 5x raised to the 4 minus 7x minus x cubed plus 30. How do we arrange this one in its standard form? So, simply find the highest degree. Okay, so that is, anong pinakamataas na degree? Sige, check muna pala natin yung ibang degrees. So here, class, your degree of this term is 2. Tama? On this, it is 4. On this one, it is 1. Since 7x that is raised to 1. Then we have here 3. And this is our constant term or x raised to 0. So let's arrange this in its standard form. So yung pinakamataas muna. That is 5x raised to 4. That is positive. Followed by, after ng 4, anong pinakamataas na sunod? 3. So copy the negative sign. So that is minus x cubed followed by x squared. Still, it is negative minus followed by minus 7x. And lastly, the constant term 30. So this is now written on its standard form. Okay. Next, what about this one? 5x raised to 4 minus 7x minus x squared. Paano natin ito isusulat sa kanyang standard form? So yes, meron tayong kulang. Hindi kompleto yung ating standard form. Unlike this one, unlike this previous example wherein we have 5x, meron tayong 5x raised to 4, x cubed, x squared, then we have 1 here. So papansinin niyo yung mga exponent magkakasama, magkakatuloy-tuloy, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. So dito meron tayong kulang. So even meron tayong kulang, we can still arrange this in its standard form. So ganun pa rin. From highest to the lowest degree. So again, this is already in its lowest term. I mean standard form. Okay? So now, hopefully you understand what polynomials are, how to find the degree of the polynomials, and how to understand the terms of the polynomial. That is very important class. And also how to write a polynomial on its standard form. Okay? And few notes. We also have pala the leading term, which is the term with the greatest exponent, and the leading coefficient, or the coefficient of the leading term. So, isa-isay natin ito pala. Muntik na makalimutan ni Sir. So, among these, dito muna tayo sa 5x raised to 4. Bigyan natin ito example. Dito muna tayo. Let's say we have here 5x raised to 4 minus x squared minus 7x. Which here, or ano dito yung may pinakamataas na exponent? Which term? That is this one. Tama? That is this one. Kasi ito yung pinakamataas na exponent form. Therefore, this is your leading term. And what is the coefficient or the number ng ating leading term? That is 5. Therefore, your 5 is your leading coefficient. Okay? So again, the leading term is the term with the greatest exponent, and the leading coefficient is the coefficient of the leading term. So that is still the same. So 5x raised to 4 as your leading term, that holds true para dito sa example na ito. So in this example, your 5x raised to 4 is also your leading term, and 5 is your leading coefficient. Okay? So before we end this video lesson class, it is important to remember the following reminders. So in a polynomial or in a term, all variables must have positive integer exponents. So hindi pwedeng yung mga terms natin ay merong negative, hindi pwede yun. Kailangan lang or dapat lahat positive integer exponent. Again, bawal ang negative. Also, all variables in the expression must not have square roots, and you must not have a variable in the denominator. So yung mga terms natin, yung mga variable, it cannot be under or it cannot be on the denominator. So sa number, again, let's explain this briefly. So again, terms have coefficients and variables. You have your variables, no? So sa coefficient, again, it can be any number. It can be positive or it can be negative. It can also be fraction. It can also be fraction, let's say 1/2. Okay? Pwede yon sa coefficient. As long as your variable must not be in the denominator. So yung variable natin, hindi siya pwedeng maging over the denominator. Hindi siya pwedeng nasa denominator. So mali ito. Hindi pwede yan, class. Okay? So, ayan. Okay? So, that's it. O, di ba? Madali lang, students. As always, bakit pa ba natin kailangan pahirapan kung kaya naman natin gawin ng madali? Tama? And as always, if this video helps you, students, please don't forget to give a like and click the subscribe button for you to learn and develop more your love for the subject mathematics. And finally, palagi natin ganitong ini-end yung video natin. Learn math, solve math, love mathematics. Thank you, students. Have a good day.